Hi, everybody. The Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025 regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen is called to order. I'm the first Selectman, Christine Vitale, and I'm joined by Selectwoman Brenda Kupchik, who is joining us via Zoom. Ask you to all please rise for the pledge and remain standing for a moment of silence in memory of the tragedy of the school shooting that happened in Minneapolis last week. Ms. Marco, will you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Sorry about that. We're joined by members of the Bridgeport Islamic Community Center for a presentation of plaque in honor of the late First Selectman William A. Gerber. Expecting Mr. Gerber's daughter. She's not here yet. Can you wait? Just to see. Maybe she's just running late. Ms. Kupchik, no, we're just going to not move forward on this. We'll move forward to number 5, the Dwight School Building Committee. To hear and consider and act upon the following appointments to the Dwight School Building Committee. A. Joseph Diorio, Democrat, 2433 Congress Street, term September 2025 to completion. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second that. Mr. Diorio, I think I saw you on Zoom. If we could just unmute him. For the public, this is a building committee. The Board of Selectmen approved the charge and approved formation of this building committee beginning of August. We're just moving forward now through the appointment process. I want to thank all members of the public who submitted their applications online. We had a rich pool to go through. Many qualified people were not chosen, and I just want to tell them that we're going to keep those names on file for future projects.
Christine, are we taking all the items, are we taking them all up as one item?
We can take them up all as one if you want. Okay, I'm going to amend the motion to friendly amendment to withdraw the main motion and your second, and I'll read it again. Okay. Can I have a motion, Dwight School Building Committee members, to hear, consider, and act upon the following appointments to the Dwight School Building Committee. Joseph P. Diorio, Democrat, 2433 Congress Street, term September 2025 to completion. Lauren Efron, D, 241 term September 2025 to completion. Peggy Macaluso, U, 322 Riverside Drive, term September 2025 to completion. Nicole M. Olson, R, 172 Cedar Road, term to September 2025 to completion. Jeffrey D. Peterson, U, 1433 Marnie Avenue. This is from information only. Per state statute, the Board of Ed Chair, his designee is a voting member of any school building committee. We're just including it for the public and the board's information. F, Deanna R. Polizzo, R, 35 Reed Street, term September 2025 to completion. G, John W. Purcell, Jr., D, 31 Balmama Court, term September 2025 to completion. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second that. Can we unmute Mr. Diorio if he's on? If you'd like to give any, just introduce himself.
Hello, Joe Diorio. Appreciate the opportunity to be part of the Dwight School Building Committee. I've been in the construction industry for almost 20 years.
building a variety of commercial and educational projects around the state of Connecticut, and I look forward to contributing.
Thank you very much. We're looking forward to having you on this committee. Moving on to Lauren Efron. I believe she is in the audience. Can you just come up and just introduce yourself? Just tell us a little bit why you would like to serve on this committee.
Hi, Lauren Efron, 241 Burr Street. I am past PTA president at Dwight for the last 2 years, and I've really been following this for the last 3 to 4. I have not missed a Board of Ed, Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, or RTM meeting where Dwight has been on the agenda. So I'm really passionate about it. I'd like to see it through. More than anything, I just like a sound, safe school building for our students and our teachers and staff. Thank you.
Peggy?
Hi, I'm Peggy Macaluso. I live at 322 Riverside Drive. I am self-employed. I do plumbing and fire protection design, so I have a background in engineering. I lived in Easton for 20 years, and I served on the Helen Keller School Building Committee and the Samuel Staples Building Committee. One was a renovation, one was a new build. So I'm hoping that experience helps the process.
Thank you. Let's go over Mr. Peterson, who is the Board of Ed Chair. There's a Board of Education meeting tonight. We'll be discussing the school feasibility study. The Board of Selectmen will be receiving a presentation letter later in our meeting, but they will also be presented to the Board of Ed at the Board of Ed offices later this evening. Deanna Poliso. I don't know if she's on.
I'm right here.
Oh, okay.
Hi.
Hi.
So I'm Dina Polizzo. I am a 32-year citizen of Fairfield. My background is over 30 years in commercial real estate, both on the finance as well as the development side. I am passionate about the town of Fairfield, and I love living here, and I think schools are very important to the future of this community. So I'm honored to be considered to be part of this process. And I hope that my background and experience is additive to the process.
Thank you. And John Purcell.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Excellent. Yeah, I'll give just a quick review of who I am and why I'm excited to be on the committee. John Purcell. I grew up in Fairfield. I attended school here from grade through high school. Later raised a family here. Both my children benefited from our public school system in Fairfield. Professionally, I also have about 30 years of experience as a corporate real estate executive. Have done a number of pretty high-profile projects where I was responsible for design, construction, operation of offices, warehouse, R&D centers. Never a school, but I think my background in applying standards to projects and understanding the right governance will kind of bring a lot of value to the project. And I am very excited to be able to serve.
Thank you. Ms. Kopchik, do you have any questions?
No, just thank everybody for stepping up to serve and give your time and talent to this committee.
And I echo that. I think that we have a nice mix of talents and expertise for this committee. Thank everybody for stepping up to serve for the next probably couple of years. Also, again, just thank those residents who volunteered and who were not chosen. It was a very hard decision, and we will keep you on file for future projects. Any public comment on this? Seeing none, back to the board for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. To all of our new appointees, thank you and congratulations, and you do not have to stay for the rest of the meeting. You are welcome to. As I mentioned, the school feasibility study will be given a presentation at this meeting, but there will also be available this evening to the Board of Ed. I encourage you to just check up the backup, then at some point, just review that report. In addition to these members of the public who will helping move this project forward, as stated at a previous meeting, this building committee will also have the resource of Fairfield Public Schools project managers, as well as a project manager from on the town side. And we always encourage building principal for the school to also participate in the process. So excited to move this forward.
Can I ask Christine, does the principal automatically serve sort of as an ex officio member?
They're not voting members, but typically they attend the meetings and serve as a resource. And some of the other, and Mr. Papageorge, if I'm missing anything, feel free. We have Mr. Papageorge, the Director of Operations for the school district, can meet as a stakeholder, subject matter expert on the project, so they can attend building committee meetings and also just be accessible to the committee outside of the public meeting as well as a resource. And very often, the principal might designate a teacher to also just serve sort of as a liaison to the committee. Very collaborative process, but those members will not be voting members. Typically, the Board of Education also would send a liaison. With the new state legislation over the last year, the Board of Ed chair is automatically on the building committee. Mr. Peterson, could have, or future chair could choose to have somebody else, which is why that was for information purposes only. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I see that Ms. Gerber has arrived, so we're going to go back to number 4, presentation of plaque of honor of late First Selectman William A. Gerber from Bridgeport Islamic Community Center. I welcome members of the center to come forward and introduce themselves. I thank them for being here. Mr. Gerber and I very often have visited the center, and I'm thankful for always welcoming us and educating us, and for the sense of community that you bring.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sunila Fadl, Fairfield resident, 140 Fence Road Drive. On behalf of the BICC and as a Fairfield resident myself, it's an honor to share a few words about Bill. Bill was more than a dedicated neighbor. He was a true friend to this community. He lived his life with kindness, integrity, and a quiet strength that touched everyone who knew him. He had a way of making people feel seen and valued, and he carried a deep sense of responsibility to his town, his friends, and his family. For me personally, I will always remember when I first signed up to run for RTM and lost twice. Bill and Jessica were the first 2 people to come and welcome me, encourage me to run. I think they believed in me before I believed in myself, and their support gave me the confidence to continue on that path. Later, when we worked on the initiative to add the Eid holiday to the school calendar, Bill stood by us every step of the way. His encouragement meant so much, not only to me, but to our entire Muslim community who felt heard and respected through his actions. Bill also made a special bond with my daughter Zara, who's here today. She considered him a friend, and I remember them sitting together at the Muslim Heritage Month celebration in Fairfield, and how he always made a point to greet her specifically and with genuine warmth and sincerity. And that simple kindness just made her really feel seen, and it's something she will always carry with her. Bill showed his friendship in countless ways, and he always made the time to show up at BICC events, to speak with our congregants, to connect with our community, and those moments of presence were not just symbolic, but they reflected the kind of person Bill was. Someone who cared deeply about building bridges and strengthening bonds across all of Fairfield. Though we will miss him deeply, Bill's legacy continues to inspire us. It lives on in his example that he set, and the friendships he nurtured, and in the love he poured into his community. Today, with gratitude and respect, we present this plaque to his family, and appreciate all that Bill gave to Fairfield and all of us. May his memory always be a blessing.
And we have Jillian Gerber with us here today. Jillian, I want you to come up and accept this award on behalf of your family, and thank you for being here with us today.
So while she's doing that, I'll just say a few words really quickly as well. So again, I mean, just to echo some of the points that Sunila made as well, we did not connect on this, but again, Bill Gerber, a friend, an advocate and a supporter of our Muslim community. He always welcomed us with open arms, and we obviously will miss him dearly. On a personal note, I had the pleasure of connecting with Bill on many occasions, whether at community events that you guys were able to join or on an occasional phone call, and just to chat. He always took the time to listen, and encourage. He knew me, he knew that I was coaching baseball for some times, and I coach Little League and basketball in Fairfield, in Parks and Recreation. And so because of that reason, he suggested I serve on the Parks and Rec Commission. In taking on a small, short role, always pushing me to give back in greater ways. But what touched me the most, and I think you just mentioned that as well, is that he knew, and he had a way of connecting with, people of all ages. My son, who's now 15, was attending Fairfield Woods at the time. And so he sat down with him at one of the community events, and he just had, just a moment with him and shared experiences. He asked him questions about, what he did and just basic stuff. Now, he didn't have to do that, but knowing Bill, he just had a way of making everyone feel valued and heard. He was simply put a kind and genuine human being. His loss is obviously deeply felt, and we'll dearly miss him, so we appreciate it.
Okay, in the name of the Bridgeport Islamic Community Center, we are honored to be here and present this symbolic gesture, the plaque, to the family and the friends of Bill Gerber. Although I'm not a citizen of Fairfield Town, like Sunila and Yusuf, he was a good friend, and one of the last things that he has done for the Bridgeport Islamic Community Center, he signed the proclamation to celebrate the month of January as the Heritage Muslim Month, and he attended the celebration in the ICC and also a celebration here in Fairfield Town. So I'll be reading the citation on the plaque. Okay. In loving memory of first Selectman Bill Gerber, a leader with a kind heart, a friend to our community, your support meant so much. You will be dearly missed, Bridgeport Islamic Community Center. So I would like to present it to you and to your family. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hard to move on to business after that. Moving on to agenda item number 6, we're joined by our police chief, Mike Paris, to hear, consider, and act on approving a mutual police assistance compact between the town of Fairfield and the municipalities of Easton, Monroe, Trumbull, Bridgeport, Stratford, and Westport for the formation of the Southern Fairfield Traffic Unit, and further authorizing the first selectman to sign and any documents in furtherance of said agreement. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second that. Chief?
Of course, no problem. Thanks so much. Of course. Take care. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Hi, I'm Michael Paris. I'm the police chief here in Fairfield, and this agreement is already existing. The agreement is just an update to add the town of Westport to our agreement. This agreement, in summary, is a compact that we have between the towns of Fairfield, Easton, Monroe, Trumbull, Bridgeport, and Stratford. And what they do is conduct traffic enforcement opportunities to join as a group we are better together with a group of officers and assist as we can. But more importantly, this agreement between these towns is specific to crash investigation. Our crash investigation unit in Fairfield is one that is second to none. I'm very proud of them. They are the lead agency in this compact and have great training to offer and a lot of opportunities to investigate and help assist these towns who don't necessarily have the equipment we have, along with the expertise in crash investigation. While we were doing this agreement, we had not included Westport because Westport was part of a different geographical area for our court system. But we had updated that to include the town of Westport, so that we were able to assist Westport as a neighboring agency, and we had been asked to help them already. So I think that between the agreements of the prosecutors in the Bridgeport geographical area too, along with Westport's geographical area, they've communicated to us that they would agree that this would be something that could be done, and we just would like to add Westport to that agreement.
Great. Wonderful that our neighbor
Absolutely.
can be part of this. Ms. Kupchak, do you have any questions or comments?
No.
Any public comment on this issue? Seeing none, back to the board for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 2-0. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are going to hear from Acting Fire Chief. To hear, consider, and act on approving a design agreement between the Town of Fairfield and Silver Ships, Inc. for the preliminary design of an aluminum fire boat, and further authorizing the first selectman to sign and any documents in furtherance of said agreement. Hello.
Hi. I am here in the stead of Acting Chief Dunn. He asked me to present on this because it's a project that I've managed throughout our history in the marine operations. What we're asking is a signature on a design agreement, and what that does is it allows the general build specifications for our replacement fireboat to proceed. It does not preclude us from changing any of the designs as they go along. This is just the preliminary design. We have at least 3 meetings with Silver Ship in the event that we need to change anything. We would greatly appreciate the signature on the design agreement so we can move forward with our build.
Are we still kind of moving forward on the timeline?
Yes, our timeline has not changed. We expect delivery of that vessel in May of '26.
Ms. Kupchak, any questions on this?
Hi, Roger.
Hi.
Were you involved in some of this input?
Yes.
As part?
Yes, we have a team that has been involved in the design concepts, what type of equipment we were going to specify. So we're very satisfied with what we're getting from Silver Ships to this point.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything new that you'd want to highlight on this vessel that wasn't on?
There's not, no. At this point, we're talking about very minimal design changes, like, for instance, the height of the shelf to be able to accommodate a set of dive gear. They don't know what that height is until we bring the dive gear to them, and they could physically measure it and get it in place. So it's minute changes at this point.
Okay. All right. Any public comment on this? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 2-0.
Thank you so much for your time.
Number 8, we're joined by HR Advisor Lee Palmer. To hear, consider, and act on approving an agreement between the Town of Fairfield and Randy Frank Consulting LLC for professional services for a classification and compensation study for the town's non-represented job titles, and further authorizing the first selectman to sign and any documents in furtherance of said agreement. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second that. Is Mr. Palmer on Zoom?
I am.
Mr. Palmer, thank you for joining us. Can you just give a brief description of what this service is that we are looking to contract with Randy?
Sure. Basically, what we're requesting is that we conduct a classification and compensation study for all the non-bargaining unit members who are not represented, which would also include our confidential employees and primarily department heads. And I think this study is extremely important, number one, because I don't believe one has been conducted in recent years. And number two, I think we want to make sure that our non-represented employees are treated fairly and equitably. And the whole purpose of this study is really to kind of take a look at how we fare with regard to parity with the labor market area in terms of similar titles, and also from an internal equity standpoint to make sure that the consultants look at all of the positions and make sure that we're not fixing one issue and then creating other issues with other positions. And I can get into the costs. I think they're outlined in the proposal itself, but just to kind of recap, the proposal would essentially cost between $16,000 and $19,800, depending on whether or not we do the updates to the job classifications, the job descriptions, which we're prepared to do. So that would actually save approximately $4,000, which would bring the proposal down to between $14,000 and $16,000, depending on the number of positions, because it would be between 35 and 40. The proposal was for 40, so that would be the highest it would be in terms of costs. And I'd be happy to answer any questions, but essentially, again, the classification study would look at all of the positions that are managerial, considered managerial, and not part of the collective bargaining process.
Thank you. And just for some further context, during the last budget cycle, there was discussion about this and getting comp salaries for these positions wasn't complete. Wanted to get some more information, and this would really benchmark it. Also, as part of the charter review revision, Ms. Kupchak, you may recall that job descriptions are now going to be something that we're going to be asking for per the charter. So we wanted to get the ball rolling on this, but we'll open it up to the floor for any questions or comments for Mr. Palmer.
Well, thank you, Christine. So, hi, Lee, is that your first name?
Yes, it is. How are you?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Same here.
You know, Lee, we did actually, in my administration, we did a review of this, and we reached out to other towns to try to get, you know, comparable information, and also CCM, which, you know, we already pay, I think it's like $38,000 a year to be a member of, and they're supposed to assist us with these types of things. It's one of the roles.
Yeah.
One of the functions that they, so I'm wondering, you know, obviously, did we reach out to them? Do you have a copy of the work that's been done prior? You know, the comparisons of other towns and their jobs, and what they're paying people for similar jobs, you know, like you're saying, you know, the department heads, the manager, mostly PETA jobs. Well, they're in a union, but the non-union manager jobs, typically your department heads. I mean, do you have access to that information?
I haven't looked at it recently. I think, unfortunately, as you know, this data becomes outdated pretty quickly. And the other thing that I believe is really important is that the study is conducted by an external consultant to avoid any claims that it's somehow prejudiced or biased if it's done in-house, so to speak. And so I think what I looked at really more was the contemporaneity of it and to make sure that the price was competitive. I know that Randy Frank Associates has done a number of these. And I believe they're outlined in the proposal itself. Christine, was that part of the package?
I believe it was. If not, I can forward it to you, Brenda.
The proposal itself. But that really kind of gets into the methodology and how it would happen, how it would work. And again, just to get back to your question, I think that this will make it very specific and ensure that the towns that it is compared to are comparable to Fairfield in terms of the factors that they use, whereas it won't be just generic information. It will be to try to tie it to the specific job titles and comparable titles in those towns that are very close with regard to comparability with Fairfield in size and complexity, et cetera, scope of responsibility, and they're available to do it quickly and professionally. And I think that I would certainly endorse it as the advisor to have it done and completed expeditiously.
I don't disagree with it. Listen, I know we have a document. It wasn't, we used Fairfield County. We were a little disappointed that CCM hadn't been doing, didn't have a breadth of this information, which frankly they should have.
Yes.
All the towns pay into it. They should have had it. I do know that the town has upped a lot of salaries over the last 2 years, considerably, some of the salaries, quite a bit. But I don't disagree with doing this. I would have an issue if it was more than what you're saying. I think 16,000 to 19 I think should be the cap. I don't want us to be spending any more money on, information that shouldn't be that hard to get.
Correct. And the other piece to it, and I just want to be clear about this, is along with not only the data relative to comparability in terms of salaries, but the job descriptions part of it is also very important, which we will update because, as you know, nowadays you have to make sure that those job descriptions are ADA compliant, and quite frankly, right now they're not. And so they definitely need to be updated in a way that will bring consistency across the board with regard to all of the various components of what should be in a job description. So it will also include that either in terms of recommendations, and I am happy to help with writing the job descriptions once we get the data and the essential job functions from the consultant. And that will save, like I said, some money. It would be kind of the delta between either 14,000 and 19,800.
Yeah, and I don't think it should be that difficult. Like I said, we did redo a lot of job descriptions over the last, probably like 3 or 4 years ago. And there, before that, you're right, there was very little.
Yeah.
But we did do that, and there was a lot of call for that from the other town bodies, and we did a painstaking, I didn't personally painstakingly do it. The HR department did it.
Very good.
So it shouldn't be that hard, and obviously each town's gonna be a little different or have specific needs, maybe a little different than other towns. But generally, a zoning department head or a building official or in Fairfield County and so on and so forth, you wanna be able to pay them a fair rate. So I'm for this, but I do think it would save us a little bit if you could just dig out. I'm assuming the HR department has it in their computer files, this work.
Sure.
We can definitely look at what's been done, but there has been some changes just in terms of roles and responsibilities in the last few years. And even doing comps, with other towns, you want to make sure you're really comparing apples to apples. And even though something might have the same title, the roles and responsibilities might be different. So this is one avenue, I think, just to getting a deeper dive to make sure that they're really comparing, the right roles and responsibilities. And as I mentioned, jobs descriptions are going to be part of the charter if it passes. And we want to get a head start on just being as prepared as possible for that.
Makes sense.
Thank you. Before we take this to a vote, any public comment on this issue? Seeing none, back to the board for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 2-0. Thank you.
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Palmer.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on, we have our registrars of voters, Mr. Wagner and Ms. Politi. 9A, to hear, consider, and act on approving a municipal electronic voting equipment agreement between the Town of Fairfield and State of Connecticut Office of the Secretary of State for tabulator hardware maintenance and software license and support services, and further authorizing the first selectman to sign and any documents in furtherance of said agreement. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second that? Ms. Polipi, Mr. Wagner?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello. You want to go ahead first, Matt?
Sure. I mean, I'll just say it's relatively straightforward. I wasn't sure you'd want to hear from us necessarily, but the first item is just paperwork transferring ownership of the new voting machines, which were purchased using state grant money or state bond money. To the town of Fairfield. Legislation enabling this was passed in the 2025 legislative session. So the state's original plan was to lease them to us, and now they're transferring ownership directly, which is the first document. The second, which the town attorney thought should come before you, is a maintenance agreement, which is not really optional for us. So I do hope that you take favorable action on the measure. Which basically is ongoing for the lifetime of the equipment, which we expect to be 10 years at least. I will say we have had some lack of clarity about when exactly the build comes due on this. During our fiscal 26 budget process, the vendor advised us that the maintenance agreement covers from 1 year from the day we take delivery, which was June 29th or 30th. Subsequently, they had told Kathy, I know that actually we expect 6 months, right? So we expect it to be calendar 25, and so we would want this to be paid in January. Later, they told us it was a full year again, so we're going to figure that out with them. We do not at this time have funds in our current fiscal year budget for the maintenance agreement. We also have an incoming grant from the state that will be in the $10,000 to $15,000 range, which may be able to be directed towards that. I think the amount we expect it to be is something on the order of $7,000 for a 6-month term, but we'll return when that bill comes to our hands.
Thank you.
And I'll just want to add that I'm pretty excited. We got this new equipment, and we have about we're reduced to only getting 27 new tabulators, but one is a high-speed central count tabulator that can process, according to the vendor, 280 ballots per minute. So that's pretty exciting.
That's great.
It is exciting.
Yeah.
Big improvement.
Yeah.
Christine, I'm sorry, these numbers on this page are really small, and what is the total what is the amount we're agreeing to here, or is this just the
$7,345 would be due January 1st.
Yeah, but I'm seeing some big numbers in here.
Yeah, and then due July 1st of 2026 is $14,690.
Okay.
So it does cost substantially more.
No, not that. I mean, what is vendor Exhibit A, vendor deliverables?
Oh, that's the purchase prices of the equipment, which the state has already paid.
Right.
Oh, okay.
We're getting them free of charge.
All right. Oh my God. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. It's getting me very uncomfortable.
I'll also just say, if we, let's say Fairfield decided at the next redistricting to have 15 polling places instead of 10, and we wanted to purchase a lot more equipment, that's the purchase price they've agreed to sort of sell us additional equipment if we wanted it.
Oh, God, well, right, the central count tabulator, I think, costs $133,000. So,
Wow,
very
really?
expensive, yeah.
And so what are we doing, renting it, or they're supplanting this with, grant money?
Basically, we're getting it free of charge, but we have to maintain the equipment, so there's a yearly cost to that.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, and that's kind of how the last tabulators worked as well.
Okay, thank you.
Nothing new, yeah.
That helps explain it. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, those numbers were getting me like, giving me a hot flash.
All right, any other questions on 9A? Any public
No.
comment?
So Christine, could you just, for the public's edification, repeat what Kathy said? We're not spending, if somebody happens to go to this backup, they understand that. This
is really the maintenance of it. We are not purchasing these tabulators. If we needed to purchase them in the future, this would be the agreed to price.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, there was, I think you might have covered it, but 9B, to hear, consider, and act on improving a hardware and maintenance and software license, maintenance and support services between Election Systems and Software LLC and the Town of Fairfield for maintenance services for voter tabulation equipment, and further authorizing the first selectman to sign and any documents in furtherance of said agreement. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Any additional information on this item that you haven't already shared in discussion of this?
Is there anything that we should know, Matt or Kathy?
No, nothing further.
Okay. Any public comment on this? Seeing none, back to the board for a vote.
Aye.
Motion carries to nothing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both. Moving on to the Director of Human and Social Services, Mr. Marco is with us. To hear, consider, and act on approving an agreement between the Alliance for Community Empowerment, Inc. and Fairfield Social Services concerning the use of personal information and the provision of assistance to Connecticut residents applying for assistance under the Community Empowerment for Connecticut Energy Assistance Program, and further authorizing the first selectman to sign and any documents in furtherance of said agreement. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
This is the second of our energy assistance programs. A couple weeks ago, you approved Operation Fuel. This is our agreement with Alliance that facilitates the energy assistance program, just so that we can move forward, start helping families with their energy costs. It's for gas, oil, wood, electricity.
Any questions, Ms. Kupchak?
No.
And if residents needed assistance, how would they reach out to you, like the process?
Great question, thank you. They can call social services and make an appointment with a social worker who will help them immediately, or they can go directly to Alliance for Community Empowerment and do that, make an appointment with them, and they can do it online.
Thank you. Sad to think that winter is coming.
It is.
All right, any further questions? Any public comment on this issue? Seeing none, back to the board for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. See ya.
All right, we are moving on to number 11, school feasibility study presentation. To hear and discuss final report of school feasibility study. And we are joined by Marissa Don Mead, Principal Director of Art Integration, FCA Architecture, Interior Design and Planning, and Eli Gazal, Capital Projects and Operations Manager.
Yes, Eli couldn't make it today, so it's just me. I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna share my screen and just share an update on the progress to date.
Before you get started, just for the public, this is a recap. About last December, this board approved a school feasibility study to address needs for an addition of early childhood classrooms to the school district, as well as needs for renovations at 2 of our older school buildings, Dwight Elementary School and Jennings Elementary School. We provided the consultant, this went out to RFP, and provided the consultant with many options that we wanted them to explore and report back to as to whether or not it would be feasible to renovate, build, and here we are today. So after months of collaboration with members of the capital projects working group, which included the first selectman and members of his office, Mr. Gazal, Mr. Becker, as well as members of the school district, superintendent of schools, the Board of Ed chair, Mr. Lee, who was a member of the Board of Ed's Facilities Committee, and the Board of Ed chair. They had been working to move this work forward throughout the spring. And I joined the last few meetings since assuming the role of acting first selectman and now first selectman. And we are at the point of just updating the public. This will be a shorter presentation for our board. They will be presenting to the Board of Education later this evening. I'm going to be joining that meeting as ex officio. Ms. Kupchak, if your schedule allows. The board chair also invited you to attend. Being that these are school projects and there's lots of different options, we're putting it back to the Board of Education to kind of move forward with next steps. Just a little bit of a background to get us to where we are today.
Great, thank you so much. All right, I'm going to share the current version of the report. So this is a document that we're reviewing with the Capital Projects Committee, also with the Board of Ed. We are sharing this draft version, but we expect that there will be a few revisions and edits in the next week or so as we provide clarifications to the Board of Ed and they're getting their feedback and questions. The contents of the report includes an executive summary, a summary of the educational specifications that were created by the town in 2025, a summary of existing conditions for all of the project sites. We have basic planning and design considerations that we're applying to all of the concepts. And then we explored a number of concepts at the Dwight site, as well as concepts at alternate sites, and I'll provide a brief summary of all of those in a moment. And then we've also developed a concept comparison chart to look at the costs for each concept, as well as the cost per square foot, and sort of maximum anticipated reimbursement from the state for each of the concepts. As part of this process, we did also do sort of a due diligence geotechnical exploration. So that document and report is available as an appendix to this report. We also looked at traffic conditions at the Jennings Elementary School because there had been some concerns about traffic queuing and congestion at the site. So we did a report and provided some recommendations to alleviate those issues. And then we have the full cost estimates in the appendix as well. And we did receive some documents from the town, previous studies, hazmat reports for some of the sites, project plans from previous projects, and so we do list all of the documents that were referenced in the process of this report. Our project team was led by FCA architects. We also had SLR doing site civil design, Kohler Ronan for mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection, MHA for structural engineering, and then Trophy Point for estimating services. Okay, so we were contracted in April of this year to work with the Capital Projects Committee. We looked at a number of options for the Dwight Elementary School with considerations to either leave the building in place, put an addition on the building, or demolish the building and build new. We also looked at options for either new construction or additions at 100 Mona Terrace, 309 Barberry Road, also known as Giant Steps, the existing Jennings School, Riverfield Elementary, and Osborne Hill Elementary. And the purpose of of all of this is, of course, to help guide the decision-making within the town for how they want to meet their current educational needs and future needs of the town over the next 50 years. So this is, trying to take a big lens and look into the future about what the town is going to need, not just in the immediate future, but pretty far down the road as well. As part of this, as Christine Vitale mentioned, we're looking at the inclusion of an early childhood learning center, as well as the incorporation of a complex learning cohort. So those are additional programming spaces that we're trying to locate in these studies as well. And to just do a quick rundown of the summaries and their sort of naming convention, we have first the Dwight site, and concepts 1A through 1F are all at the Dwight site. In concept 1A, the existing Dwight building is renovated without any additions. And so we wanted to test how much of the ed spec could fit into the existing building. What we discovered is that it doesn't. And so there was a deficit of about 5,000 square feet of program totally, and then there was also a reduction in space for many of the program areas as well. So they were at about 60 to 70% in some cases of what was requested in terms of square footage for those spaces. Concept 1B was providing that same renovation to the Dwight School, but putting on additions to accommodate the additional program. And so in that concept, we ended up with an addition of about 22,000 square feet to accommodate that full program of the ed spec. We do have, because we're reusing existing spaces within the existing structure, there are still some program areas that are undersized according to the ed spec, but not vastly so. Then concept 1C was requested in the RFP, and concept 1C was looking at doing a renovation of the existing Dwight building and adding just the amount of square footage that we needed for the ECC. As we got into this, we discussed with the committee that this option really wasn't that viable because in the end you would end up with a product that did not meet the ed spec for the Dwight School. And so that one was sort of set to the side. Additionally, just in terms of estimating, concept 1B and concept 1C are physically very similar. And so to understand what costs for 1C would be, we can look to concept 1B and it would be very similar. Concept 1D is a renovation with an addition that's large enough to accommodate both the full Dwight program and the ECC program. And then we also explored two new construction options. Concept 1E is a new building just for Dwight, and concept 1F is a new building for Dwight and an ECC of 5 sections. Okay. So we also looked at the Jennings Elementary School. For Jennings, we ended up looking at 2 options. Both options include a standard renovation of the existing school. And then we looked at 2 different site locations for where the ECC could be located on the site because it is a pretty constrained site. And so we wanted to provide 2 options to show some flexibility there in terms of future planning. For Site 3, Mona Terrace, this is a site that is currently in the 100-year floodplain, meaning that any construction projects there would be subject to FEMA restrictions. And what we understand is that any projects that are equal or more than 50% of the property's assessed value would need to be lifted out of the floodplain, meaning the entire structure would need to be either rebuilt or picked up and lifted out of the floodplain. This extent of work would most likely be cost prohibitive, and so we looked at this. We want to look at this through a lens of whether it makes sense to make the investment in the school there, and and is it possible to do what we need, keeping it under a cap of about $3.5 million, since we know that existing assessed value is $7 million. We did look at two potential options at Mona Terrace. One is replacing the existing daycare center there, the Child's Garden Daycare Center, with a 5-classroom ECC. And the second option takes the whole building, so the senior center would move to a different location, and the entirety of the building would go to a 10-section ECC. The Osborne Hill Elementary School included just the addition of a 5-section ECC. We did not include any renovation for that building. The Site 5, the Giant Steps site, after a fair amount of analysis of the existing conditions, it was determined that that building really needs to come down. If there are questions about that, we can review that further. And so for the purposes of this study, what we did is looked at the possibility of a new 10-section ECC at that location. And then finally, the Riverfield Elementary School project was also looked at. We did an analysis of existing conditions of the existing site. What we found there is that that site is also in a floodplain, and so for the purposes of this study, we sort of set that concept aside to focus our energies on looking at the other schemes at this time. So in the body of the report will be and actually we can just quickly review a summary of the ed spec here. To sort of get our programming numbers together, we took the ed spec that was provided by the town. We used the number of students that are occupying the building to understand approximately what square footage we're going for. When we pull all of the net areas from the spaces together, these are of course just the program areas themselves. And so it does not include this 56,000 number, and I can zoom in there. This was what was included as the total for net area in the ed spec. But of course, this does not include square footage for mechanical areas, stairs, hallways, elevators, bathrooms, wall thicknesses. And so when we're trying to figure out how large the school should be, we use a multiplier. In this case, based on other recent projects, we used a multiplier of 1.38. To get an understanding of our target square footage at about 77,000 square feet. And so that was our target for a project that includes the Dwight School that meets the ed spec, as well as a 5-section ECC. In the body of the report, following this summary section, we go into the individual property assessments for each site with challenges and opportunities. And that is for each project site. Section 4 is the planning and design considerations. So all of the schemes that we looked at are designed to meet current codes and standards. All of the schemes were priced with sort of a baseline quality of interior finishes and code compliant expectations and design criteria for structural elements. For system approaches, we utilized a couple different MEP approaches in the schemes depending on whether they were renovation or new construction, and those are outlined in each concept individually. And we also included information to cost the improvements to the exterior envelopes of the existing structures, as well as a proposed wall system for any new construction. Section 5 outlines all of the individual concepts at the Dwight site, and so each is presented with a summary, benefits, challenges, and a basic preliminary estimate, as well as a conceptual floor plan and a conceptual site plan. And those are followed by narratives for, that are specific to that concept. And so those are included for each of the schemes. And for Dwight, we were also requested to put together a life cycle cost analysis, and so that is included at the end of this section as well. Section 6 includes the same information for the concepts at the other sites. So again, the summary, benefits, challenges, and preliminary cost estimate. And then at the end of the document, we have pulled together a matrix that looks at a comparison of all of the concepts with their construction costs, their costs per square foot, any relocation costs. And in this particular instance, the relocation cost includes just transportation. This was a number that was provided to us by the school district. We do anticipate that in a renovation project, there would be some additional costs associated with relocation, but it's hard to know exactly what those would be without knowing the relocation location. We have the reimbursement estimations laid out. So reimbursements from the state are based on an eligible square footage for each concept that is created based on the number of students in the building. New construction projects are reimbursed at about 10 points lower than renovation projects, so that's reflected here. And then any project that has a ECC program also qualifies for an additional 15% bump on reimbursement, so that's been factored in. And then any project that has the CLC incorporated also gets a small additional bump just for the spaces that are dedicated to the CLC. And so in the final column here, what we have is a minimum estimated municipal cost. This is applying the full percentage available that we're aware of for reimbursement. But we know that in the course of projects, these numbers tend to tick down as parts of the project become ineligible. But so as a comparison point, we're kind of looking at all of them from the lens of what's the maximum possible reimbursement for each. Any questions?
Ms. Kupchak?
Oh, I have a lot of questions. It's hard to read it on the screen. I mean, obviously, we're not going to be making any decisions right now. I would like to get a copy of this if I could. So, I mean, some of this stuff is not anything we don't already know. I mean, I never thought Mona Terrace was a viable option. It's not. We all know that it's in a floodplain, and it's the senior center anyway. So I mean, I can't see it really clearly on the screen, but what is this looking like? Is it looking as if Dwight is the location for a full ECC, or is it looking as if it would be split between Dwight and Osborne?
So what we did is
as far as the most cohesive and the least expensive.
Well, so if you're looking for our recommendation, that's not something that we're providing at this time. We're trying to provide sort of the baseline information so that the town can make the decision that makes the most sense for them.
So, again, I am having trouble reading these numbers because they're really small on the screen. What is the cost to put the full ECC at Dwight with a brand new Dwight?
That is concept 1F, and that's with the full reimbursement coming in at $59.4 million.
But that wasn't the full, that was 5 classrooms for the ECC. So that wouldn't be, the district right now is looking to add 10 ECC classrooms. So in their capital planning, they were looking to put 5 potentially at Dwight and 5 at Jennings. When they did their capital planning last year, before this feasibility study was put in motion, Mona Terrace was not something that was considered by the Board of Education, in part due to previous reports, knowing that it was in a floodplain, and as you stated, the senior center is there. The Giant Steps property, the town, when we purchased that property, you recall, the school district really was just given control of the Giant Steps building, which now holds the Walter Fitzgerald campus. The empty building was under town control, and it wasn't until Mr. Gerber kind of opened it up as a possibility that the school district could use that property for school programming. There was a question about whether or not that building could be renovated, and that's why it was included in this site.
So it's 59.
They're not necessarily recommending, you
Right, no, I know, I'm just.
and that's going to be a
clarify.
discussion more towards the Board of Education, because as.
Just to clarify though, the 59 million is for 5 classrooms of ECC plus.
Correct, yes,
White school?
that was the request in the.
Okay,
in
and
our-
what is it to put, I'm sorry, were you proposed in the spec, is it 5 additional classrooms at Osborne?
Yes, we looked at options for adding 5 classrooms at Jennings, 5 classrooms at Osborne Hill,
And what was the cost for Osborne Hills, 5 classrooms?
7.9 million. And for Jennings, it's higher, it's around 24, because that also includes a standard renovation of the building.
Right. Okay. So this really, I mean, I'm glad that the work was done, it's just, I know way before this even, when this first concept was brought up, you know, the board was projecting and that it was gonna be 60 million, and it's kind of on the money, and that's not even including the additional, well, almost 8 million for the other 5, you know, it's a big number. Big number. Okay. I mean, I'd like to, it's hard for me to ask a whole bunch of questions, that maybe I can get a copy of this, Christine, to review, just to have a look.
Yeah, we didn't,
Unfortunately,
just due to the length,
Yes,
we
I
didn't print, and we weren't sure if you were gonna be here in person.
Right,
There-
I mean, no, even if
There is a
it's
link, but
just-
we have hard copies here, so we can
Oh.
drop.
Oh,
I didn't have,
okay.
I'm sorry, she brought them to the meeting, I didn't have a chance to drop it off to you earlier.
No, that's fine, and
We
and
can
I
get that to
apologize
you.
for not being there.
No, it's.
Not feeling great. I got my shingle shot yesterday. I told Christine, and
Oh,
just like they said, you're not going to probably feel good. I'm going to feel good. But I would like to take a look at it. Obviously, this is just the beginning of a discussion. The board has to review this, and then you know, you have a lot of public input. I would recommend maybe Christine, I don't know if you have a newsletter going out this week, but maybe a link to tonight's meeting for the public for the Board of Ed meeting, because obviously they're gonna have a more fulsome discussion on this. That it probably would be very helpful for them to have a link to that meeting, the community to be able to watch it.
Yeah, there's not a newsletter this week, but we will definitely get that out. The link to the full report is in the backup of this meeting, backup of the Board of Education meeting. The Board of Ed is going to be discussing it. Totally appreciate, it's expected that you probably would not have a ton of questions at this point.
Right.
Again, I know you're not feeling well, but later, you and I can both join the Board of Education discussion. Appreciate that. Probably doesn't make too much sense to go too far down different scenarios until the Board of Education has that initial discussion about,
I agree.
because some of it is an educational decision about how they want to deliver their programming.
100%. Right.
It started here, being that this board, it started with us, so figured that the presentations would start with us as well.
No, I appreciate it.
Yep, and we will get you the hard copy, and for the public, again, the link is online. I don't have any further questions. I will see you later at the Board of Ed. Thank you for joining us. You have a little bit of a break between meetings.
Does she want to take that down off the?
Yeah. Yep. Okay, moving on to number 12, initial discussion on filling vacancy in Selectmen seat. Last Monday, I was appointed to be your first selectman by the designated Democratic town officials. These officials were designated by state statute. Upon becoming the first selectman, a vacancy now exists in the selectman seat. The process to fill that vacancy is exactly the same as it was for the first selectman's seat. We begin with 30 days, sitting with the Board of Selectmen. Ms. Kupchak and I can fill the seat. If we do not fill the seat within 30 days, it then goes to the same group of 11 Democratic town officials to fill the selectman seat. The seat, being that I am a member of the Democratic Party, in this stage of the game, the seat needs to be filled by another member of the Democratic Party. I am not putting a name forward. This is just an initial discussion, and being that Ms. Kupchak and I cannot discuss this together privately due to FOI concerns, wanted to start the discussion here. I will share with the public that I am fortunate to have many qualified Democratic elected officials who have been following the work of our town government to which to make my recommendation. Not putting forward a name at this time. Many qualified, as I said, RTM members who have served on our appointed boards and commissions, looking for somebody who is up to speed on where we are on the many projects that are before us. There's a lot of things in motion. Given the vacancy in the first selectman seat happened midterm, it's sort of a weird dynamic, with elections, you kind of know that there's going to be a transition. In this, we're sort of mid-cycle. There's a lot of work that's in progress. My focus has been on trying to keep the transition as smooth as possible and keep things moving forward. So wanted to have the opportunity just to bring it to the public. Ms. Kupchak, bring it to you, just that I know that you were uncomfortable filling the first selectman seat, just the two of us, and it went to the electors. So wanted to get your initial thoughts on this, and then we could schedule a special meeting potentially next week if we want to move this forward, or if you foresee not wanting the two of us to act, then we'll know that the 30 days will expire, similar to what happened with the first selectman seat. I'm hoping that, given this is not appointing the CEO of the town, that maybe we can move something forward. We've worked well together with a two-member board, but it can present some challenges if we can't find agreement. And I don't think either one of us would want to be the reason why we potentially were stalling government or being at all obstructionist. So that's where I am in the process, but wanted to give you the floor and just see where you are, have the discussion in public.
Well, I appreciate that, Christine. Listen, you said it, I think, accurately. I don't view this vacancy the same way as, the vacancy for the CEO of the town. It's a very different to me. It's similar to filling a vacancy on the Board of Finance, or TM, or even the Board of Selectmen, not the first selectman. Listen, I'm open to considering candidates that, frankly, to me, the most important thing would be to maintain the civility and the decorum that you and I have been able to achieve over the last several months, which I think has been good, very good. So I think that would be, that would be a main priority in my mind for a candidate. So I am open to, hearing some candidates that are potential candidates, and I know that we can't speak about it, by ourselves, but if you have a designee who wants to pass by names of people that you think will help us do that with the civility and the decorum that we've had over the last several months, I'm, obviously open to hearing that.
Thank you for that. In this board, and when served on the Board of Education, I think that, and I've said it here, just a responsibility to set an example for our town and for other appointed boards and commissions that we come to the table to do the work of the people, and that at the very least, we should follow Robert's rules and be as civil and collaborative as possible. I know it's difficult at times, and emotions can sometimes get the better of us, but that regardless of who the person is and what the political party and how things play out, I think that that is how I approach this work, regardless of where I am in the process. So you have my my word, and the person that I will put forward will share that value. And I think all the people that I'm considering, I'm confident that that will not be an issue. So thank you for that, and I will ask again that if you have any recommendations to forward them. I believe that the Chief of Staff had reached out to you prior for any recommendations, and I think that Ms. Brown's here, that if there's anybody that you would like me to consider, to send them to her.
Well, Christine, I think that that your party has, some talented people who have served in roles that understand the town budget well, and, have been, who have worked collaboratively, and across the aisle. And I think that if there were several names you want to share with your Chief of Staff, who wants to share them with me, obviously I don't want this to turn into a circus, like, and having, any kind of drama, honestly. I think we've all had enough of that. So, I'm willing to, I don't want to put, I don't know your party as well as you do. And if there's some names that you would like to filter through to me, through your Chief of Staff or whomever your designee in your office is.
We'll try to work this out, and it may be difficult because there still are FOI concerns about how we communicate with each other. I don't want to be sensitive to that, but I think that the feedback that you've given me will be helpful.
We used to do it. Jen used to send names to Nancy, for example, for appointments for different boards. Did she like this one? Did she like that one? Obviously you don't want to put someone on the agenda that's not going, to get approval, or if there's someone that, for example, if it was a Democrat seat and Nancy wanted someone specific, we wanted to always reach out to her and hear, her point of view. So, it's been done in the past through someone through your office. It doesn't have to be you.
Okay. All right. I think that we have a path forward just for the public. I will either be addressing this at our next meeting, which is still within the 30 days, or I'll be calling a special meeting to move this forward so we can fully constitute this board to have 3 members again. Even, aside from potential gridlock, if we don't agree, if somebody's sick and just can't make a meeting, something happens, we want to be able to have something as basic as have a quorum so we can meet. So I appreciate that. For the public, we'll continue to update through the newsletter on next steps or potential meetings to discuss this issue. All right, moving on to approval of minutes, to hear and approve the draft minutes of August 5th, 2025 and August 20th, 2025. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second that? Any revisions or discussion?
No.
Any comment by the public? Seeing none.
I would actually, I'm sorry. I know I never do this because all the meetings are taped, so I never really put a lot of weight into this. But the August 5th meeting, I'm seeing that the email that I sent is referred to in here, and I think it might be helpful to have the email actually. Oh, it is. There it is. It's on the back. I'm good.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, I'm a little fuzzy. I'm just not feeling so great.
That's okay. All right, ready to vote? All in favor?
Yeah. Aye.
Aye. Okay, minutes carry. First Selectman, to hear updates from the First Selectman. Fairfield National Little League. What a thrill, what a ride. We are so sorry that it's over, but so incredibly proud of them. And I think I know I speak for you, Ms. Kupchak, considering you barely wanted to meet the last time because the game was on and shared the win during our meeting. But again, want to thank them for bringing our community together in a way very few entities have. And while they have been celebrated on our town green, and thank everybody for coming to that and all the town departments that pulled that together so quickly, thought it might be nice to have a proclamation to honor them and have them come to one of our future meetings so we could honor them yet again, because we're just not ready to say that it's totally over. So we're going to let that continue. I'll reach out to the team to see their availability, and maybe we'll have that on our next meeting.
That'd be great. They were a lot of fun.
They sure were.
The boys of summer.
And to get autographs, because I didn't think to do that on Monday.
You couldn't get near them. They were swarmed.
So, moving on, August 31st was International Opioid Awareness Day. Fairfield Cares, in conjunction with the Health Department and some of our partner organizations, have been holding awareness events and trainings this week. And tomorrow will be a opioid awareness vigil, candlelight vigil, which will honor lives lost to substance use and support those who are in recovery. It will be held tomorrow on the Sherman Green from 7 to 9. Community is invited to join us in that, in supporting awareness on this. Invite those who have lost somebody or are going through recovery to share their stories. I reported at the last meeting that the town has received funding to move forward efforts to address prevention, education, Narcan training, and I will continue to update the board as we move that forward. Then I invite the community to join us tomorrow on the green. Moving on to announcements. Anything to announce, Ms. Kupchak?
No.
I do either. Okay, so moving on to Chief Operating Officer. To hear, consider, and act on approving a lease between the town of Fairfield and Trinity Episcopal Church. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second that. We have our Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Becker, here to present.
Hi, this is going to be, this is the annual lease for the Trinity parking lot that's used for the Southport train station permits. This has historically been handled by the parking authority. Now it's being handled by the town side. There is the prior rental payment that the town makes for this parcel was $13,500. They had asked for an increase, I believe around $20,000 or so this year. We countered and actually had gone back and essentially worked out what a COLA would actually have brought them up to. It looks like in some of the history that they had not actually received an increase in the rent on that payment since the 2018 year. So they were clearly long overdue to put a request in for that. So we settled at $16,500. This is a lease prepared by the town attorney, and again for 1 year. So there's not much to it. It'll be covered by the parking department, and it will continue to allow for commuters in Southport to park in basically the back half of the Trinity lot during those hours.
Thank you, Mr. Becker. Ms. Kupchak, any questions for Mr. Becker?
No.
Thank you for negotiating this. Thank you to the town attorney. This lot is used by our residents, so happy to see this moving forward. Any public comment on this issue? Seeing none, back to the board for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 2-0. All right. So we have a bunch of executive sessions. We're going to take number 17. We're going to go into executive session and possible take action. So we might be coming back out and then going back into another one. Is that correct?
We're definitely gonna come back out, and then go back in.
And then go back in.
Yeah, so Rick's not involved in the subsequent ones, so.
Okay.
Those other 5 matters will just be me.
Okay. All right, so we have the town attorney with us, executive session with Attorney Rick Aiken and Town Attorney Philip Piers concerning pending litigation, Robert Hughes versus the Town of Fairfield, possible action to approve settlement after executive session. Can I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
I'll second that. Members of the public, I have to thank you for your participation, but I need to ask you to please leave. Good? Okay. Can I have a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second that, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are out of executive session. Can I have a motion to approve the settlement on terms discussed in executive session?
So moved.
Second that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 2-0. Okay, moving on to number 18, another executive session. Can I have a motion, can I waive the reading?
Yes. So this is, you need one motion just to go into 16A through E.
Okay.
Because we can do them all as one executive
Okay.
session.
Can I have a motion to go into executive session to address 18A through E?
And invite Attorney Phil.
And invite Town Attorney Phil Pierce into executive session.
So moved.
Second that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we're in executive session.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
You're out of executive session. Motion to approve items 18A through E on terms discussed in executive session in advisement of the town attorney.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 2-0. Number 19, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we adjourned. All right, thanks, Brenda, feel better?
Yeah, sorry about not being there today and missing tonight. I guess I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to shingle shots.
I mean,
They said I'll feel better tomorrow, so.
All right, and we'll get this school feasibility study to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
You too.